Here in my area, there's a commercial. Gentleman has had a very positive experience with a healthcare facility here in our community. And he tells the listener or the viewer, you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself. For a long time, and it may still be the case, because let's be honest, I don't pay as much attention to cosmetics as I used to. There was a cosmetic company that advertised their products, which were high-end and, I suppose, quality. You're worth it. You deserve it. What does that mean? Why do I owe anybody anything? Is it even possible to owe something to myself? Why does anybody deserve anything? All right, well, my favorite approach to this is to start with a story. I still haven't tracked down the first philosopher to come out with this, but it starts with what's seen as a criticism or intended as a criticism of the Golden Rule. The Golden Rule, as we generally recite it, is do unto others as you would have done unto you. So I come to you and say, hey, how would you like to be given $500? And you say, hey, I would really like to be given $500. That's great. And so I say to you, well, then you should give me $500 because you should do unto others as you would have done unto you. And you start peeling out, well, you don't peel out any money. Don't be silly. But the idea, of course, that if you wanted to hand me the money would be to say to me, well, but of course I'm just going to get it right back because you're naturally going to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I say, no, I'm not a fellow who believes in that rule. But the idea is this. Let's pretend for just a moment that you give me $500. I say to you, Golden Rule says you should give me $500. You give me $500. Do I now owe you $500? Let's imagine this. You're standing on the street and I just wander up. I mean, there are guys who do this at Christmas time, so this is no more, actually a little less whole cloth than the Golden Rule example. You're in a shopping center or you're in a store, you're somewhere at Christmas time, and I walk up and shake your hand, and when I take my hand away, I've left a $100 bill in it. And you go, wait a minute, and I go, Merry Christmas, and walk away. Do you owe me $100? Do you owe anybody $100? Why? Now, I'm going to suggest, at least personally, that no, you don't owe me $100. I just gave you $100. Let's go one step further. One step further back, as you will, from the idea of genuine debt. You find a $100 bill on the street. Answered a question today on Reddit, I think it was. What's the biggest amount of money you ever found? I found a $20 bill in the middle of the road one time. So there you go. That's mine. $20 bill in the middle. But there's no reason I couldn't find a $100 bill. People lose $100 bills. There's a $100 bill in the middle of the road. I find it. Do I owe anybody $100? Do I owe that person who lost that $100 bill to track them down and give them that $100? If so, why? I don't have to explain why not. Remember, in general, I can't think of any exceptions, but just in case one isn't occurring to me in this moment, in general, it is the person who says something exists, something is real, something makes a difference to prove that that's real, that it exists, that it makes a difference. Finding $20, $100, $100 is easier to remember usually. Finding $100 in the road, I mean, how different is that than finding a rock in the street? I mean, nobody says you owe somebody a rock. You should track down where that rock came from. No, nobody says that. Why is it different? If there is a difference, why is there a difference? And where does that difference come from? I say there's no difference. I find a $100 bill. I find a pebble. I found them. I didn't take them from anybody. Nobody. Well, okay. I don't owe them anything. I walk up to a stranger. I hand them a $100 bill. Do they owe me $100? I say they don't. You walk up to me and say, I need $100. I'll come with $100. I said, there you go. And you say, you start to say, because I'm not going to let you finish. You start to say, I'll pay you back. And before you get, I'll finished, I say, no. That's a gift. You don't owe me a thing. You don't owe me a thing. It's a gift. I mean, isn't that what gift means? That you're being given without any need to give back? Okay. You come to me. You say, I need $100. And I say, as I reach into my wallet, when can you pay me back? And I give you $100. And you say, I can pay you back in 3 weeks. 3 weeks goes by. You can't pay me back. Are you a bad person? Are you merely an unfortunate person? Have you done something wrong? You can pay me back, but you don't want to. You'd like to hang on to the money just a little further. Pay him back next week. It'll be good. It'll be what's a week. He's not asking for interest or anything. He just wants his $100 back. I say to you, I'd like my $100 back. And you say, can you wait a week? And I think a moment and I say, yeah, I can wait a week. Are you now off the hook? I mean, you said 3 weeks. You said 3 weeks. I said, okay. You say now today, can you wait a week? I say, okay. What if it was in writing? Would that make a difference? If we'd written down, it's due in 3 weeks, and you say, oh, I can't. Can you make it a week? And I say, yes, without changing the writing. Does that make a difference? We're talking a lot here about monetary debt, because this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about owing. You have a debt. What is it to owe? I have a debt. What is it to have a debt? I need to give something to somebody in order to have my moral slate cleared, my financial slate cleared. Anytime I talk about debt, I immediately go to Socrates. We owe a debt to Asclepius, he says, on his deathbed. It's supposed to be the last thing he said. Took the poison, and after he took the poison, he said, I believe it was to Crito. He said, Crito, don't forget, we owe a cock. We owe a cock. We have a debt of a cock, a rooster, to Asclepius, the god of healing. Now, this has been interpreted all kinds of ways over the years. Nietzsche interpreted it as Socrates saying that by dying, he was actually becoming more healthy than he was when he was alive. Life is a disease. No, no, no. I don't think so. I don't think so. Here, Nietzsche and I have to agree to disagree. Well, he can't agree to shit. He can't agree to shit. He's dead. Can he have a debt to me? He's dead. I just mentioned him. Does that create a debt? Where do debts come from? Why do I owe things to people? And then moving that 90 degrees, and it's only about 90 degrees. It's not a full 180. You'll see why. Let's move it 90 degrees to, do I deserve to get my $100 back? I gave you $100. I said, I need it back in 3 weeks. You say, I haven't got it. You do have it now, mind you. But you say, haven't got it. Can I give it back to you next week? And I say, sure, I can wait a week. Do I deserve the $100 today? I'm willing to put it off. Do I deserve it today? Why do I deserve anything? I deserve the best. I deserve respect. I deserve what? One of the great things about being a bit of a prodigy as a young person was realizing how little dessert, as it was explained to me anyway, had to do with anything. I deserve a good grade. Why? I mean, I certainly didn't. I mean, if you deserved a good grade because you worked hard and studied hard and did a great job on the test, I didn't do squat. I didn't need to. I already had a reading comprehension in first grade of a high school student. Had a memory like a steel trap. I read something and it was there forever. Couldn't always get it back out. Or to be fair, I don't always get it back out today. In the good old days, it was always there. I can remember whole pages of books, and I don't remember, I'm not saying I remember them verbatim, word for word. What I remember is I can pull up the whole image of the page in my head and then read the page when I needed it. Can't do that anymore. Probably could with some exercises, but still, can't do that anymore. How could you and I, you who put out all this effort, all this work, and excelled on the day, how could you and I deserve the same grade? Your A was hard work. I barely woke up for mine. Story I like to tell. In my senior year of high school, Betty Crocker offered a multiple choice exam in home economics. There was a scholarship prize associated with it. I was not from a wealthy family. I knew that to go to school, any source of funding I could get, I should look for. And so I signed up to take the Betty Crocker home economics exam for Homemaker of the Year. Most of the young women in my senior year also signed up for it, a couple other young men. And we all took this exam. Now, the young women theoretically had an advantage. They had had the required course in home economics, required at the time by the state of Florida, the previous year. I never had home economics. My mother and either of my wives would happily testify, no, I don't know anything about housekeeping. And yet, out of the 300 odd exceptional students from my high school, which was a high school for exceptional students, I had the highest score. As I recall, and this is as I recall, I could be inflating it a little. My recollection is I did not miss a question, but there was an essay that you had to write, and my essay was a little provocative, as you might imagine, knowing what you know from watching these videos. So I did not win the scholarship. A gentleman up the road from us, well, down the road from where I live, but up the road from my high school in Pompano Beach, actually won the scholarship for our county. But I didn't deserve. Do I deserve that grade? Why do you deserve anything? I deserve my paycheck every week. Why? Well, this is what I think. I think that deserving things and being owed things and having debts emerge out of agreements. And that if we do not have an agreement, we have no desert, we have no debt, we owe no one. Thus, I find the piece of paper lying in the road that the store will accept for merchandise. I don't deserve that piece of paper. It's just something I found. Nobody said, here, if you'll go out there and find this, I'll let you keep it. See, that would be different. Then I would deserve it. I had found what was put out there for offer. We had an agreement. I find the piece of paper. It's mine. I don't owe it to anybody else. Again, someone said, oh, I left or lost a $100 bill. If you'll find it, I'll let you keep it. I don't know why you would, but let's say. Then I go out, I find it. I'm owed it now. I deserve it. You say, if you'll bring it back to me, I'll give you $10. As long as you bring me back that 100, then I owe you that 100 if I accepted your contract. But if I didn't, do I still owe it to you? Again, what creates a debt? Does a gift create a debt? I always remember Christmas time. And with the women aforementioned. And they'd all say, oh, we owe so-and-so a Christmas card because they sent us one last year. And I would always go, well, wasn't that Christmas card a gift? Well, yes. Do you owe for a gift? Well, they'd say, no, but a social order here. Okay, all right. What I owe then is a proper expression of social orderliness. My yard needs mowing. I need to get it mowed. Do I owe that to anybody? No. But it maintains an orderliness in the community if my lawn gets mowed. If I'd signed a homeowner's agreement, then I would owe it to the homeowners association. But there was no homeowners agreement. One of the reasons I bought this place. Well, that this place was bought for me to live in. Why does agreeing to something create a debt? Well, again, we could trace it back to promise keeping. We could talk about it in terms of preserving the social order. We start sneaking toward the social contract. But for both Locke and Rousseau, our consent to the social contract need only be tacit. That is to say, I don't actually have to say anything. I've agreed to it just by continuing to live here in this community with these people. So I owe that Christmas card. I deserve the best hair coloring because I'm worth it. The social contract suggests all of this. But I'm going to push back. I think I'm only owed what I explicitly, and by the way, that's the opposite of tacit. Tacit is silent, explicit, outspoken. I explicitly agree to. Again, you walk up to me, you say, hey, how you doing? I go, I'm fine. How about you? I reach in my pocket, I smack $100 in your hand and walk away. I come back a week later and I say, where's my $100? In fact, not only $100, but $150 because I'm charging 50% interest. You say, wait a minute. You just handed me $100 and walked off. We didn't talk, nothing. Oh, well, but you didn't give it back to me, did you? So you agreed to my conditions, didn't you? You didn't say it, but you tacitly agreed to you could have ran me down and given me back the $100. Well, you got in a car and drove away. Doesn't matter. You could have. I just don't buy tacit consent as meaningful. Real consent is I say something. Okay, real quick. A couple of implications of all this. People tell me that life is a gift from God. Therefore, I cannot kill myself. Not that I'm planning on it this minute or anything. It's just, people will say, this is a gift from God. So you can't have an abortion. You can't kill yourself. You can't waste your talent. It's a gift from God. Well, wait a minute. Gifts don't create debts. At worst, a social debt, but I'm telling you, it doesn't create a debt. If I didn't say to God, hey, give me this and I'll pay you back, you're going to say tacit agreement. Well, how can I untacitly, how can I explicitly reject God's gift of life without killing myself? Oh, this is me telling you, God, I don't want your damn gift. Meaningless stuff. Debts created by gifts. Either it's a gift and therefore it has no entanglements with it, or it's a contract, and if it's a contract, I have to agree to it. I have to agree to it. One of the more distasteful remarks made sometimes about a rape victim. Oh, did you see how they were dressed? Do you know where they went? Do you know how much they had to drink? They were asking for it. No, they weren't. Asking for something is asking for something. Again, there you are. You're standing there in that toy store and you're looking at these very inexpensive bags of army men. If you're old enough, you know exactly what I'm talking about. 100 army men for $1. Nobody wanted that gift. Nobody. But it's what could be afforded. And somebody walks up, sees you with that sour face, oh God, boy, and gives you $100 and walks away. Do you owe them anything? Were you asking for it because you had this sour look on your face? So I can come back and say, oh, well, you see, you owe me $100, sir. I didn't do anything wrong, or I come back to your house and I take $100 out of your purse. Well, you took my $100. You were asking for it. I could tell by the look on your face. Really? See, you can't create a debt without consent. You can't be asking for something without saying something. The consideration of debt, of desert, of obligation cannot arise from nowhere. It has to come from somewhere. I hope I've given you a little bit to think about, and I hope to talk about. Keep on talking philosophy.